is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Thrown under the bus.
No. Always live, always real, always unpredictable.
I'm not okay with that.
It sounded good when I thought.
Log on and join our live conversation.
Yes, I don't like
right.
that.
You're 100% right. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to DBL. It is Wednesday, September 11th. I'm here with Stephanie, Tori, Brandon. I am Sam. Let's get right to it. 18 years ago, our world took a dramatic turn, and today we remember the lives lost on 9/11. New York City commemorated the day with a solemn remembrance. Names were read, bells tolled, and victims' relatives assembled at Ground Zero. And all across the country, a moment of silence was observed. And almost 2 decades later, we are still at war with terrorism as a U.S.-led coalition hit an ISIS stronghold in Iraq last night with 80,000 pounds of munitions. Wow, 18 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Of course, we all remember the exact moment. What were you doing at that moment in 2001?
I was sleeping at Michigan in my dorm room, and someone called me, and they said the Pentagon's been hit, and that's near D.C. where my dad works. And I called my mom, woke her up. My dad was in lockdown, and the whole day he kept hearing, I don't know if you guys remember, there's one other plane in the air, and they couldn't leave D.C. because it was going to come in and hit Metro D.C. It was a day that we all came together. It was a day that we unified, but it's a day we don't forget the victims, and especially United 93 that averted an entire disaster by their willpower. I have a picture really quick. This is a 9/11 memorial. This is as you exit, okay? This is the staircase that by luck hundreds of people found, and they placed it in the 9/11. So as you leave, you can see that it was just pure luck that people got out. I think that's a really moving picture.
It's beyond moving.
Yeah.
All the images are. What were you doing, Brandon?
I was in the 12th grade, Albemarle High School world history class, cheating on a world history test.
Yeah, you remember every detail.
My
Every
teacher came in.
detail.
I thought I was caught. I thought she got me, and she goes, "Everyone, calm down. I just want you to know I'm going to turn on the TV. The World Trade Center has been hit." And I just remember because my older sister was living in Manhattan at that time, and that's the first thing that crossed my mind.
Yeah, you were worried about her. Didn't you heard from her later in the day?
Like a day or two later.
You can't reach. Remember
because there wasn't cell phones, there wasn't Twitter. I don't think there was Twitter or whatever back then. But I do the stuff with the New York Giants, the fans, and that we do tailgate stuff with them. And I just remember every year we do a 9/11 tailgate with the first responders, NYPD, NYFD, and I just remember this one guy. I autographed some stuff for his son because I used to play with the Giants, and he goes, "You're a hero." He was like, "Thanks, man, for doing this for the kid. You're a real hero." I look at him. You're a first responder in 9/11.
Yeah.
You're the real hero, sir. You're the real hero.
Amen. It's a day that still brings me chills. I remember, and I want to hear from you, Stephanie, considering you probably weren't living in America, but it was global news.
Yeah.
I remember I was nannying at the time, and the child I was nannying, in fact, Cynthia Garrett, friend of the show, she's been on the show, it was her son. She was in New York. I had to go to school, pick him. I had just dropped him off, and then I had to go back to his school to pick him up because we were so concerned about his mom. We could not get a hold of her until later in the day. And I just remember being like, oh my gosh, I'm caring for this young child, and we don't know the whereabouts of his mother. Being all the way out in London, what were you thinking?
So at the time I was 14, so I was considerably younger, and obviously it happened for us, it was in the middle of the night because it was 8:46 a.m. for you guys. Yep. So for us it was literally the middle of the night, and obviously news doesn't travel quite as fast back then. Like you said, there was no social media. So you woke up to it? So we woke up to it, and I remember just being so confused because I'd never seen or heard of anything like this. And I remember at the time they were speculating that there'd been a malfunction with the plane because it still wasn't confirmed that it had been a terrorist attack. Yeah. And I just couldn't wrap my head around it. And I was like, how did they not steer away from the plane? I remember literally just couldn't understand. Yeah. And then how that's affected everyone's lives moving forwards. And it just makes you think, if only there'd been more checks so I got on that plane. And the one person that stands out to me in particular, I know there was over 3,000 people died on that day and 1,000 people afterwards, due to the aftermath, was a gentleman called Brian Sweeney, and he was on the United Airlines flight 175, which is it was going from Boston to LA, and he was a 38-year-old former US Navy pilot, and he managed to get to the back of the plane, and he left a voicemail to his wife, Jules.
Oh, I've seen that.
And it literally, if you want a sense of your immortality and how selfless this man was, you can read that message online.
I've read
beautiful.
it. Yeah,
I'll see you when you get
absolutely.
here.
I know. So again, our thoughts and prayers with everybody on this very very solemn day. And to all the first responders, especially the ones that are still dealing with the aftermath, we salute you and we are thinking of you. Well, one of the NFL's top wide receivers is facing rape accusations. Antonio Brown just signed a $15 million deal to play for the New England Patriots. He's now being accused of rape and 2 incidents of sexual assault by a woman who used to train him. Brittany Taylor made the accusation in a federal lawsuit that was filed yesterday in Florida. Brown has been in the news recently after he was released by the Oakland Raiders amid controversy, and his lawyer says, quote, Mr. Brown denies each and every allegation in the lawsuit. Meantime, the Patriots have commented, saying they are investigating the matter and are taking the allegations very seriously. And I hope they are taking the allegations very seriously. I want, before anybody rushes to judgment, I want us to learn about what these allegations are, what the accusations are. What do you think, Brandon? I know that you are still very well connected to the NFL, and I know that you've been digging into this case. What are your thoughts?
You know, I played with Antonio Brown for 9 months when I was with the Steelers. We don't really stay in contact, but he still follows me on Twitter, that sort of thing. I know some of the people he's cool with. This is something that I encourage everyone to read every part of this lawsuit, every part of what his representation is saying, because there are a lot of holes. There's a lot of trickiness to this. And me being on a panel with 3 women and me having, mother, stepmother, I want to make sure that I respect not only the victims, but women in general when it comes to this. Well, for me, and Tori, I know you've really read up on it, and you're going to help me with this, because I'm tiptoeing when I'm talking about this, because I'm afraid that if I say something wrong, it could be victim shaming, it could be victim blaming.
I totally appreciate
that. And I don't want to just jump to conclusions.
But you also don't want to jump to conclusions on both sides, and I think that's perfectly fair.
Exactly.
I think listen, we all know that false accusations is a slim number. However, they do exist. Not saying by any means, shape, or form that this is one of them, but it does force us to always remember to look at all the details to make sure that we do our due diligence before we rush to judgment.
And I think Me Too not only taught us a lot about what you beautifully said about trying to be respectful to the victim and women, but it taught us not to rush, because we rushed. We rushed really hard with Aziz Ansari and other people. So the Me Too movement taught a lot about things. And right now, I think we need to slow down and not just cast off. Now, can I say Antonio Brown is a real jerk? Yeah, he's a me guy. He's a narcissist. That doesn't necessarily mean he's a rapist.
Well, that's what you see. We know someone here that knows him. What has been your impression?
I mean, you could look at him as a me guy. When we say me guy, that's a me guy in the locker room. He does things like Facebook Lives while a coach is in the middle of a speech. He's the guy that had filed all those grievances with the Raiders.
He's had a lot of problems. 3 teams.
He's had a lot of but at the same time, that doesn't mean you are a rapist. And when you go back and look at the emails, the texts, and you go back and you look at some of the things with this case, it didn't make me automatically want to jump and point my fingers at him, but I also wasn't going to victim blame as well.
Right.
So it's something where we have to wait this one out.
Yes, it's very early on. News is developing. We will have to wait and see.
Yes.
Well, some scary news for a member of the DBL family. Just 3 weeks ago, Cameron Matheson came to co-host our show. What we didn't know then was that he was dealing with kidney cancer. He made the announcement yesterday. Watch.
When the results came back, he was right. The doctor was right that I didn't need it in my gut, but a miracle that they actually found a growth on one of my kidneys, my right kidney. It's a tumor that's consistent with something called renal cell carcinoma or kidney cancer. And it's a big deal.
So, Stephanie, this hits close to home. Yeah. This is someone that we all love and adore. But hey, he's very positive. He's very healthy. He's very healthy. Yeah. This looks like a positive outlook. But what were you thinking when you heard the news?
Well, I was really shocked, because obviously he was with us here in the DBL studios a matter of weeks ago, and he's very close with one of our executive producers, Chris Clark, and he spoke about it in private with him, and we didn't know.
No.
And he was full of such energy, enthusiasm, positivity. You would have never have known. So bearing that in mind and taking that into account, I think he's got a fighting spirit and he's going to be okay.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think there's a really positive outlook in terms of his remission. I think he'll be okay. But if it is going to happen to someone like him who already has a very healthy background, it's really good for him to have that head start.
1,000%. We are rooting for you, Cameron. We consider you part of the DBL family. We love you. Our thoughts and prayers are with you as you head into surgery tomorrow. You got this. Now an update to a story we brought you yesterday. This high school swimmer in Alaska was disqualified from a race she won for wearing a team-issued swimsuit that the ref said exposed too much of her backside. She was the only girl singled out and is of mixed race and has a curvier body than her teammates. But now the disqualification has been overturned, with the school district calling the decision heavy-handed and unnecessary. Thank goodness.
Thank you.
Thank goodness this school district, and they did their due diligence. They did investigate. They want, because this ref also accused this young girl of doing it to get attention. Newsflash, as a former swimmer, it happens almost every time. Well, 3 out of 5 times that you dive in. But they did investigate. They talked to some fellow teammates. They talked to eyewitnesses, and they found that, of course, it was just par for the course,
well,
Stephanie.
Yeah, how many times, and I'm not a professional swimmer like Sam very much was, so you know what happens when you jump in the pool. But if you jump in the pool, you dive in the pool, it happens to the best of us.
Yes.
She's a very young girl. I don't believe she was trying to suggest or do anything. It makes me question that referee and what his or her intentions were. Her intentions were. What upsets me more is, as the media, I think we all have a bit of responsibility in this, is that we're all calling her curvy. To me, that insinuated something very different to when I see these real life photos.
She looks like a normal, healthy teen girl
today. So I think that's something.
And that referee, if you're trying to be Miss Goody Two-Shoe referee, and we got to go by the book. That referee, the reason why that decision was so easily turned is because she didn't give the heads up before the swimmer jumped in the water, before the heat. So it's like in the NFL or in the CFL. Anytime we go out for warm-ups or whatever, there'd be a referee there looking at our uniform to make sure it's up to code.
But sometimes it happens after you dive in, though.
Yeah.
But you
most of the time, I can't even tell you how many times it happened to me. And most of the time it would happen as soon as I would dive in, even if I was doing backstroke. Sometimes on a flip turn it would happen. And you're not going to spend 0.2 of a second to pull it out.
Yeah.
You're not going to.
You're trying to get the best time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And one little tiny nanosecond, it could determine between you winning or you getting the time that you want. So, yes.
Do you hold your nose when you flip turn?
No, you blow the air out.
Really?
Yeah, you don't hold your nose.
I hold mine when I flip turn.
I can teach you. I can teach you.
Cool.
Yeah, you just blow the air out and you will counteract that from going up. It's
Learn
like
something new every day at DBL.
Yep, I'll teach you. DBL is live. Coming up, compassion is at the forefront of today's Heart Threads. We'll show you what happened when a boy needed new shoes but didn't have enough money to pay for them. Plus, Mariah Carey is just like us. Well, not quite, but her shopping trips certainly are. We'll show you. And you, the viewer, are our 5th host in a first-in-the-nation move. Colorado inmates are putting on theatrical performances. But should people who are locked up be able to partake in fun activities? Your comments about that next.
Hi there, DBL Nation. Kelly Schuberth here, the DBL digital team. Thanks for joining us today. Please send us your stories about 9/11. I know this is a day we all remember. I'm getting chills just talking about it. I'd love to know where you were, how you're feeling today. Are you feeling okay? Are you feeling distressed? Are you having anxiety? I'm having a little bit of anxiety today, as I do tend to have on this day. That's just what happens with me. But let me know how you're feeling today. I'd love to know. But let's go talk to the host. I think they're having a good day over there. So let's get everyone.
I realize you guys are...
Hey, Bert. There's Bert. Hey, Tor, what's up here?
How you guys doing?
Good. We were just talking about, how are you feeling today? I'm feeling a little bit of anxiety today, as I tend to do on this day. And just asking people how they're feeling.
9/11 is a day, and this is actually someone wrote in really beautifully.
Yeah.
Someone wrote in and said, today is a day of remembrance, prayer, and introspection. Sorry.
We'll come over here. Sorry, guys. It's loud.
All right, so it goes. Arath Resenda says, this is a day of remembrance, prayer, and introspection. A day to hug and love those around you, because it could all be taken away in an instant. Those of us who watched live will never forget. I remember a lot of people saw that second plane going in, and a lot of people, including myself, saw the towers fall. If you remember, Peter Jennings was the person I watched, and he unfortunately passed away as a news anchor. He held up his hands as the tower fell, and as the tower fell, he said, I wanted to be silent in the studio because people's lives were ending at that exact moment. It was an incredible day, and it changed history, it changed America, it changed the way we elect people. And what's interesting is 18 years ago is a person's voting age. So if you were born at 9/11 and you're now 18, you have a right to vote. And a lot of the firefighters' kids are now grown up, and a lot of them are going in to be firefighters. In Denver, the firefighters do a red, rocks climb to cover how long they had to climb up and down the whole time. And sorry, that's okay. We want to give a shout out to Denver Fire. Shay is someone who watches our show a lot, so big shout out to you guys. I just saw you yesterday at lunch and it was awesome. We love our first responders. Thank you so much.
Welcome back to DBL. A Colorado prison is making headlines for a program that allows inmates who have committed violent crimes to participate in plays and even take their show on the road to a woman's prison. This performance is of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Brett Phillips is the star of the show, and he's serving almost 40 years for second-degree murder.
It didn't help. Mine was methamphetamines, and I'm not blaming them because I made the decision, but it didn't help. When I'm doing this, when I'm on stage, I'm not here. I'm not in prison. I'm in anywhere else but here.
So DBL Nation, should inmates be allowed to participate in fun activities? It's time for you to be our fifth host. Take it away, Brandon.
Ooh, all right, let's get to these comments. Mark on Facebook says, wow, no, these people don't deserve fun activities. The jail system has flown over the cuckoo's nest. Tori, you like that one?
I do.
All right. When I first thought about it, I was thinking about, prison reform is a hot topic right now and giving these inmates something to do. But I was thinking reform and rehabilitate. But I was thinking for like someone on a minor drug charge or something. Second-degree murder, absolutely not. And the fact that you're traveling to other places, you're putting staff at risk. You're putting the chance of them breaking out.
There's a lot of people that committed second-degree murder and really, crazy circumstances, like they were high on meth. Not at all by any means condoning it, but I'm with you when it comes to like rape and pedophilia.
Oh, yeah, absolutely
but
not.
I think there could be certain cases that fall under second-degree murder that person's been reformed.
Sal says relationships are built within these community groups and can lead to rehabilitation, a crucial step for re-entry into society. I've gone back and forth all day. I didn't like what the guy said at the end when he says, I'm not here when I do it. Guess what? Those victims and those people and the person who died from that person can't be where they want to be. I agree with Brandon. There's got to be a limit on who can be in this troop, and it's got to be non-violent drug offenses maybe, but a murder, a rape, I'm not okay with that. No, 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 no.
Louis says, I can't say this loud enough. No, no, no. How would you feel knowing the person who murdered your child is now playing Simba in Attica Presents The Lion King? It's insane. Thanks for writing in, Libby. Again, I agree with Tori on this one. I think it completely depends on the outcome of the trial and what that person is serving time for. I believe that rehabilitation is very important, maybe for drug offences, maybe for robberies, etc., things like that. Yeah. But when it's serious cases like murder and, like as Tori said, I just don't think that's
doesn't read well with them.
No,
vibe
it's
well
not
with
okay.
Me.
Richard on Facebook says yes, throughout the duration of imprisonment, inmates should be involved in required activities that provide stimulation for their physical, mental, and spiritual health. Richard, I really appreciate that because obviously you're coming from a place of empathy. But again, I think I'm going to just echo my co-host here, certain inmates, and I can only think right now of like egregious murders, rapes, and pedophilia.
Kidnapping or something.
Kidnapping, I can't imagine, especially if that were my daughter. But I do think certain cases, 100% they deserve this. And they deserve reform and stimulation and rehabilitation. So case-by-case basis, in my opinion. Thank you for writing in. Coming up on DBL, watch what happens when a perfect stranger overhears a boy's dilemma when he wanted new shoes, but he couldn't afford them. Heart Threads coming up next.
Happy birthday, Michael. Birthday, Michael. Happy birthday, happy birthday, Michael. Happy birthday, Michael. Happy birthday, Michael Loveland. He's a regular viewer. He's amazing and he talks to us. And it's his birthday.
And sometimes he's nice to me.
And sometimes he likes Brandon. Happy birthday, buddy. We love you. We hope you're doing well. Not an easy day to have, so we want to wish you the best. We hope you doing well. What is your intention for the next year?
Yeah.
And what is everyone's intentions for the next year? I could have rhymed on that.
You did great. I think we'll love it. I think he's going to be so happy. That was a beautiful birthday rendition.
My only thing in my head was viewer rhymed with sewer, and that was all I could think of. And I was like, I'm not going to say sewer.
Manure?
Right.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of anything. I'm so sorry. It's early. My improv skills are just warming up.
But you could hire us and not the whole prisoners for
A troupe?
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh man, I love that. I love that movie. My one-act play is called One Jew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh my God.
It's actually going to be really good. I do want to say very quickly that a lot of you writing in about how you feel about 9/11, and it's important to be cathartic today and be sort of open and sweet and kind. So make sure write in. We'll write back. But if you're feeling unhappy, let us know. We're there for you. Okay? We're
Everyone
there.
write to Michael Loveland and say happy birthday.
That's right.
He actually wrote back to you, Tori.
He did?
He said, thanks, guys. Will you still need me? Will you still feed me since I'm 65?
65. You know, that's not, I don't like when the Beatles did 64, like it's a really old age. So you're good. You're good, kid.
Welcome back to DBL. Today's Heart Threads is all about a stranger who stepped in to help a family in need. Watch how a simple gift of shoes made a huge difference. This man's random act of kindness for a kid went viral. 11-year-old Zach and his mom were shopping for some new shoes.
I had the same shoes for about 9 months, and the bottom of them were destroyed.
Zach's mom told him that they could only spend $20. Lito Mason overheard their conversation.
I asked him, well, what type of shoes do you like? And he said, I just want something that's comfortable. I was done. At that point, I said, okay, I'm gonna get him whatever he wants.
Lito bought Zach a pair of shoes, and Zach's grateful mom asked to take a picture. She posted about Lito's kindness on social media, and it went viral.
As Lito went to pay for everything, we walked outside, and Zachary was like, Mom, I can't believe he helped us. He just helped us. It's like an angel, Mom.
Despite the outpouring of praise, Lito has remained humble.
Just something that I wanted to do. For one time in his life, I didn't want him to worry about a price. And it was simple as that.
Kindness, it's as simple as that. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by...
Welcome to DBL. We are live, and we're talking about what you're talking about right now. Let's get started.
The people that we need to lead won't lead because they wouldn't stoop to the mudslinging that you would have to do to get elected.
Well, if we do nothing, expect everyone to go insane.
Straight people have never been stoned and tried to be killed for being straight.
I'm actually in shock watching that video.
There's two completely different narratives. I don't think we have enough information.
This is that social injustice that Colin Kaepernick took a knee for.
And if you want it to be a bad thing, you only want Trump to be wrong, and that's not good.
That's how you get out of quicksand, Al.
Oh, good. I'll take that with me never.
You know what this panel needs is more cowl neck.
I've hurt myself.
You can be rich and still humble like Jay-Z and Beyonce. Sorry.
Oh, there you are.
That's embarrassing.
I'm done. It was their child in school, and that's the reality. Like, my heart broke.
The only thing that really gave me joy in this life is when I see my kids and I can hug them.
Until recently, I felt like I was one of the only ones.
And they said, you're making this up to your mom?
Oh, I love that.
But no.
Big Jeff gets tired.
Okay.
They say if you get the job you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
And we love that at DBL. We get to tell it like it is, even if things get a little heated.
And since we're always live, you'll always see us 100% real.
But it's not just about what we think. We want your opinions on what's happening in our world.
Because we wouldn't want to do this without you.
So come on in.
And join the conversation. And we guarantee on DBL, we're never going to hold back.
Because we talk about what you're talking about.
3, 2.
Welcome to Daily Blast Live. I'm here with Erica, Jeff, Al. I'm Sam. Let's get right to it. Stay tuned. September 16th, Lindsey Granger joins. Very exciting. One last story before we go. Miss Diva herself, Mariah Carey, took her daughter on a shopping spree. You'll never guess where. Well, at the most relatable place ever. They ended up at Target. She posted this adorable photo on Instagram. So what does Mimi choose to wear shopping, Steph?
I love this.
Stilettos.
I mean, she's going in stilettos, and if you look on the picture, she's actually got her dark shades in hand. Just in case. I love Mimi. I mean, look at her. She somehow makes it look so chic, doesn't she? But I love that her daughter, she said to her, you can go shopping on a shopping spree anywhere.
So that means she could have said like Prada?
She could have said anything. She could be like, Rodeo Drive, Mummy. She's like, no, Target. Take us to the good stuff.
That was last week, the Rodeo Drive, but it's Target. They went to Target.
I
They didn't go to Target.
My mom didn't know that Target and Target were the same.
Stop it.
And she was like, oh, I don't go to Target. I do go to Target.
No.
And I was like, oh, Mom, you're in for it. It's the same damn thing.
It's the best. And we've seen Beyonce at Target,
Oh, yeah.
right?
I saw Stefani was there.
Right?
You did not.
Yeah, she was there, I think, for her own thing.
Wait, you saw Michelle Obama
No,
there?
I thought she went there before.
For sure, Michelle Obama.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
She's relatable.
She's so damn
Remember Taylor
relatable.
Swift to like go like hawk her own CDs or something?
Yeah, she put it in the front pile. I love it. I love
We'll
it.
see you same time, same place tomorrow. Bye guys.